7 note cards. So back in the year 2013, I graduated with my Bachelor of Arts degree in music, where I studied classical guitar. And before I ever went to school, I had never learned how to read sheet music. I didn't know what music theory was. I didn't know what sight singing and ear training were all about. But of course, whenever you're getting a music degree, you have to have a little sampling of all of this. Now, luckily, my first ever semester of school, even though I knew how to play the guitar, I had no idea what I was in for theory-wise. And so luckily, my music theory teacher was actually a primarily guitar teacher, played classical guitar. And so everything I learned music theory-wise, it came across as if I were having a really cool guitar lesson. And so I want to be able to share that with you today. My name is Chris Green. This whole channel is called Learning Guitar with Chris Green. In this series of videos, we are tackling music theory for guitar players. I want to teach you as much as you should probably know as a guitar player, starting with the very basics. And so the first ever assignment, and the one I want to give to you, is to get 7 note cards. Now, if you don't have access to note cards and a Sharpie, you can certainly follow along. I also have a PDF. So if you want to print out more of like a postcard paper, if you have that perforated stuff or whatever, I've got a PDF made with all the stuff written on it if you want to do it that way. Or you could just get a sheet of paper, cut it into chunks, whatever, but you need 7 chunks of paper. And the first thing I want to say is that when it comes to learning music theory, you might run into a lot of problems the more questions you start to ask. And so I know there's a lot of trust involved. I want you to trust me in the process. But one of the things my teacher told me first day of class was, here are 7 note cards, and I want you to write these letters, and I don't want you to ask any questions about why you're writing what you're writing. So I want to be able to convey that to you as much as possible. Trust me, in the process, this is definitely going to be worth it. So first card I want you to write, I want you to put an A, just the capital A on the letter, just like that. And on the back of the card, I want you to write 3 more letters. We're going to write A, C, and E. So it is not the word ace. It is actually just A, C, and E. But next to that C, I want you to put a hashtag. This is a sharp, okay? So A, C sharp, E. On one side, we have A, and on the back side, we have A, C sharp, E. All right, set that to the side. Let's go on to the next note card here. You've guessed it, we're going with B. Now, on the back of the B card, I want you to write B, D, and F. B, D, and F. Now on B, D, and F, I want you to put a hashtag or a sharp. Just looks like a tic-tac-toe board. I want you to put it next to D and F. I'm so sorry about my handwriting. You know what? I was a music major. They didn't really require us to do a lot of writing, penmanship. So bear with me on that. I trust you'll have better handwriting than I do. All right, the next one, we're going to write C. You can kind of see where this is going here. The next one, I want you to write on the back of your C card, I want you to write C, E, and G. So if you're following along, we have A, C sharp, E. We have B, D sharp, F sharp. We have C, E, G. All right. Next one, remember there's only 7 of these, so hang in here with me. We're going to go D, and on the back side of this note card, we're going D, F, A, and on this one, we're going to make the F sharp. So it's going to be D, F sharp, A. I can already tell. If you're like me, you're sitting in class, you're writing these, you're probably thinking already, why do some of these have sharps? Well, don't worry about it. It's going to be fine, all right? All right, the next one, we're going to write a big E, and mine is terrible. So that is an E. Please do a better job than I am with your cards. We're going to go E, G, B. And then it is E, G sharp, B. Okay, so one side has E. Then we go E, G sharp, B. I do hope that you're noticing a few things as we're writing these cards. Maybe a few things like patterns that seem to be showing up. We only got a couple more. So on this next card, we have F, and on the back, I want you to write F, A, C, F, A, C, F. There we go. All right, and the last one for now, we've got a G. You guessed it, G, and then on the back, we're going to go G, B, and D. And as far as writing goes, that's all we need to do for now. So I want to rifle through these very quickly, just so you can see, we've got 7 note cards here. We'll go with A, And on the back side, we have A, C sharp, E. Next, we're going to have B. And on the back of the B card, we have B, D sharp, F sharp. Then we're going to go C, where we have C, E, and G. D is going to be D, F sharp, A. Then we have E, E, G sharp, B. F, we're going with F, A, C. And then G, we're going to G, B, and D. Now, believe it or not, so it is my first ever collegiate music class. I do not know how to read sheet music at this time. I've never had a music theory class. I know how to play chords on the guitar. And my teacher is telling me to write these 7 note cards. And on top of that, he's telling us to not ask questions. Just don't ask questions. So if this were our first lesson together, and if you're sitting with me in this room and we've just made these note cards, my assignment to you would be to spend the next 7 days with these note cards everywhere you go. Like, well, if you're in the car and you're driving, hopefully you got somebody with you that can drill you on these. But I want you to shuffle up the cards, and your challenge is going to be to take these note cards, and whenever you see one side, B, you're looking at this card, it says B, I want you to go B, D sharp, F sharp. Yes, that's correct. You see the next one, A, C sharp, E. Okay, G, G, B, D, F, F, A, C. I want you to be able to say those just as quickly as I'm saying them right now. Okay, C, C, E, G, D, D, F sharp, A. Don't be asking questions just yet. Now, later on in this video, I'll go ahead and give a spoiler warning as to what we're doing. But a big thing, like I said, with music theory, the more questions you ask, the more in trouble you can end up getting. Okay, it's just like we're basically with music theory, it's like taking a math class with a kid. Okay, so your kid might be taking math, I don't know what they would call it, like math 101, but your kid starts to learn 2 plus 2. And that's great. 2 plus 2 equals 4 all day long. Your kid might start asking questions like, well, what happens if you go 0? 0 plus 2 is 2, right? But what it would be 0 minus 2, right? And I don't know how it is currently. I do have 2 children, but they're not yet old enough to be going through some of this math stuff. But 0 minus 2, if my kid asked me that right now, I would start to pause. I would start to think to myself, do we really want to get into like negative numbers right now? Because if you haven't figured out the 0 plus 2 is 2, we probably shouldn't be jumping into 0 minus 2 just yet. Like for me, I think I was like way late. It was like 4th, 5th grade before the negative numbers started to appear, or exponents, or the Pythagorean theorem. Okay, there are so many things that we could get into, but you need to be very careful not to jump too far ahead until you've got the basics down. So your assignment for the next 7 days or so is to memorize these letters and then the letters that go with them. Okay, so we have B, and then we have B, D sharp, F sharp, A, C sharp, E, and so forth. And you're going to go through these. Okay, so the rest of this video is going to be a little bit of a spoiler. So feel free to come back later at some point if you just want to spend some time with these note cards. Like I mentioned before, I do have a PDF that you can just print this stuff out. I'm going to put that over on my Patreon. That's for all access members. Typically, when I do videos like this, all access members have access to guitar tabs and lesson plans that go along with the videos. Okay, but if you're here on YouTube, you're watching the videos with me, just hit the like and subscribe buttons. It goes a far way to support the channel. But now we need to get into the spoiler talk, okay? So this is a little bit of a preview. Make sure you're subscribed so we have the next video coming up to you soon. But I want you to spend 7 days looking at these cards. And some of you that are already like, you're already into music and stuff, you probably already figured this out. But what I'm teaching you today with these 7 cards is called the major triad. Okay, so these are major triads. These are major chords. And to me, especially as a guitar player, you notice we didn't see any flats, okay? We never turned over a card and saw like G flat, B flat, and D flat. We're going to get to that in the upcoming weeks. But what you are memorizing is basically your home base for major triads. So if you look at the card for G, we have G on one side, we have G, B, D on the other. What you are learning, spoiler alert, is that a G major triad is built with the notes G, B, and D. If you were on a guitar, okay? So if I grab my acoustic guitar, You might ask yourself, okay, well, how do you build a G major chord? And you would probably go on the internet, you look up a bunch of tab, or you look up a chord diagram, you put your fingers where they're supposed to be, and then you would play what is supposed to be a G major chord. Now, I actually think I'm in drop D right now. Okay, now that I'm not in drop D. Okay, so standard tuning, our strings are E, A, D, G, B, and E. So if I wanted to build a G major chord, and I know that the major triad for G major is G, B, and D, I might ask myself, is the note E, is that low E string part of the G major chord? No, it's not. So how do I turn an E into either G, B, or D? Well, I can turn it into a G if I put my finger on the 3rd fret of the low E string. So now, instead of this being an E, this is actually the note G. If I go to the next string, this is an A string. How do I turn an A into either G, B, or D? Well, the note A is pretty close to the note B, and I can get to the note B by going to the 2nd fret of the A string. So if I play this now, I have G, B, and D. That is a G major triad. So do you see what's happening with my hand right here? Those of you that watched the first guitar lesson that I have on this channel, your first ever guitar lesson, I taught you how to play the G major chord. And you start to look at your hand and you go, oh, okay, that starts to make sense, because now I've got the notes G, B, I've got the open D string, the open G string, I've got an open B string, and I've got my pinky on the 3rd fret of the high E string making another G. So G, B, D, G, B, and G. That makes a G major chord. And I know it makes a G major chord because I memorized my little note card here, G, B, and D. And it's true of all of the chords. So this is a little bit, we're in spoiler territory, but as you learn major triads, you'll start to learn other groups of chords. And we'll be covering those in future videos. So how does this tie over to your guitar playing? Well, maybe every time you go to play a major chord, let's say you have A major and you know how to play an A major chord on the guitar, we'll start to pick the notes apart on the string, start to count the frets, start to figure out why is it that when you put your finger like this on the 2nd fret of the D string, the G string, and the B string, why does that make an A major chord? Well, it's because it has the notes A, C sharp, and E. If you want to build a major triad, you're going to have to learn these notes. Now, the smart ones out there, those of you that are, hey, why haven't we covered flats? Well, again, this channel is primarily focused at teaching guitar players. We're certainly going to cover flats and we're going to cover sharps. So some of you that look at this and say, well, there's the F major chord, F, A, C, but what about F sharp? We're going to be covering that in a future video, but I can tell you if you've memorized F, A, C, is the major triad for F, learning the F sharp major triad is going to be beyond simple. So that is enough for today's lesson. I want to encourage you to hit the like and subscribe button to join me on this journey. If there's a video playlist available, this is the first of the series, the first that I've recorded. So be sure to check back on this video playlist for your next lesson. Thanks so much for watching. My name's Chris Green. I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you in the next video.